What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. Starfield, my impression so far. I did not want to do a video like this at all, but one of my audience members said, hey man, why not just talk about the game and your thoughts on what you've played, even though I don't want to do a review of any kind, because reviews are kind of dead to me. So I guess impressions are probably going to be the only thing that I maybe take a little bit of account of, or 100% reviews like Mortismo Gaming does. But because of this audience member, I want to go ahead and just honor that request and talk about what it is I've experienced so far. Now, first of all, I want to go ahead and talk about reviews being dead to me, because in 2022, when Gotham Knights came out, a lot of reviewers review bombed that game, and many of them lied about the combat for Gotham Knights. I made some videos addressing it. Luke Stevens was one of them, White Light was one of them, and Skill Up was also one of them. They pretty much said something about the combat that is basically job losing. If you notice, with Gotham Knights, 3 of the folk in charge of different areas of that game have left the studios. So not only do some of these reviewers think that they're actually doing good work, they fail to realize the implications of what it is that they say, especially if they're not accurate when they say it. ACG was fortunate. He didn't mention much about the combat because he may have missed it too, or maybe he knew and just did not want to deal with it. So I think he had more of the fair take regarding that game. So ACG, and for the most part, and a few other reviewers are still worth taking their, opinions into account. But here's the thing, at the end of the day, you have to play the game yourself to determine. And if you're in a position where you say, I don't want to spend all this money to figure out if I like the game or not, then wait till it gets to a point where you have the money or the game is at an affordable price point. Your life doesn't depend on playing Starfield or any other game, so it shouldn't be a big deal. However, there's something I wanted to also point out too in this particular line of conversation, and that's something that Jess Corden wrote, at the onset of Starfield itself. He said this. He said, Starfield is a bit of a different experience when you're not skipping over potentially immersive stuff to hit a deadline. I said this in 2022 when a lot of people were reviewing Gotham Knights. I said, Ragnarok is on the way, and they already gave out review copies very close to the same time that Gotham Knights review copies went out. They gave out advanced preview copies for that game. And I'm certain a lot of people were going to gloss over any other game that was not God of War, since it was the biggest game, so that they could go to God of War, thereby skipping a lot of stuff. And it was obvious because we got to see it. And I think the same probably is a potential to happen with Starfield. Because from what a lot of the reviewers have written, especially the ones whom, in my opinion, are at odds with some of the things with Starfield, is they've already skipped a bunch of stuff of the game. Because if you listen to, say, the 100% reviewer, Mortismo Gaming, who played Starfield at 100%, and also listen to some of the different ideas around, you'll notice that some of the things that were immersion, or some immersion fulfilling, and some of the things that were actually interesting about the game is not really mentioned by some of the other, say 40, 60 hour reviewers. So basically, I'm not saying that everyone has to 100% a game, but the deadline stigma is something that we also have to look at when we're talking about reviews. So what I've actually seen with this game, in my own opinion so far, is that the game has been able to pull me in, but I'm a space nerd. I'm somebody who likes this kind of stuff, and also seeing the philosophical aspect of the game and seeing the worldview of the developers that they've put in the characters is funny to me, because my worldview is actually at odds with the worldview of what it is that these developers put in the game and some of the characters. But I know they're fictional characters, but some people also hold these worldviews as well. So it's interesting to see, because space changes the conversation. When you think about the world out there, you see the planets, you see the stars, you see the, all of these different things, the questions that you start to ask are now metaphysical questions for the most part, as well as scientific questions. So for me, Starfield is a whole different experience, at the end of the day, because I'm looking at this, juxtaposing it with my worldview and laughing at, some of the things I consider inconsistencies I point holes at and all of that stuff. So that's just the perception side of the game in an intellectual sense. As for game and gameplay experience, I've also enjoyed the aspects of the game where I go around and just talking to people and figuring out what's going on, and the voice acting is quite solid. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I've seen a character that missed when it came to VA in this particular game. It's weird so far in seeing that. And so these are some of the elements that I do like, at the end of the day. When it comes to flying around and, your space stuff, that's not really immersive, in my opinion. I don't think they really designed the game to have a lot of that space, interaction when you're out there. You can basically fast travel, fast land, and all that stuff. And I think the exploration is probably where it is that they wanted to put in the emphasis, and so on and so forth. So if you go in and you start to just walk around and you want to explore the game and you want to vibe with the NASA theme, the NASA punk theme, you will enjoy Starfield. I'm enjoying it. Everyone has their different expectations. Some people who like a much more, classic RPG, medieval, and all that. You may not like the modern-esque look. Some people have even, said in their reviews that the game is not modern enough for them. That's their take. I don't know what else they want or what they perceive humanity would have advanced to in the next 100 to 300 years. Everyone just has a different perception that they want. And, for some of us, we just spend hours just wanting to look around. I went through their Mars world, and I was just quite impressed just running around Mars. The moon. Sorry, I said Mars. I haven't been to Mars yet. I went on the moon, and I just started running around and doing all kinds of stuff and picking up items, and had my, freaking companion just keep telling me that I had too much items. I guess it's a system mechanic that tells you, hey, your weight bearing, is actually too much. You won't be able to, fast travel if you have that. That's a mechanic I don't really like. I'm not really a fan of that mechanic, but it's just one of the things that I think they've decided to use to kind of limit how many resources you can farm. Because left to me, I'll just hoard all this stuff and then find a place to go sell it. But I haven't found a good merchant to sell random stuff to. So I guess that's something I need to still advance myself in the game with. But by and large, the game pulled me in. It's designed for a select set of people. I've never played a Bethesda game up to this point. Nothing more than like 3-4 hours, maybe. I think with Wolfenstein, I may have played 3 hours, Fallout 1 hour, and that was it. Never played Elder Scrolls before, but a space exploration game that did not fall flat on its face like No Man's Sky at launch definitely was something that I was willing to explore. And I've heard that No Man's Sky eventually became good, but that's already too late. After the game, hyped and overpromised all this stuff and basically didn't deliver any of that at launch, I think, they just basically lost. Hello Games is not going to easily live that down. Even if they make a new game right now, people are still going to go with that eye of skepticism towards them. And Starfield just delivered what it was. I think some people continue to say things about Starfield like, well, this game was marketed as the game of the generation. No. You hyped it up in your head as the game of the generation because, Sony was going to be taking this game as an exclusive. So they let that fester and they let that drip feed in there. And then, whoops, Microsoft bought it. So it was already out there. And then, they just basically continued with the hype. So if you're setting your expectations as the game of the generation, you're playing naive because there's not going to be a game of the generation that is marketed as such and then meets that expectation. No. That kind of a game is basically a black swan. It comes out of nowhere like Elden Ring did and hits everybody on the face. Not one that is out there already being claimed to be that. It's not that. Y'all are playing games. Keep your expectations realistic. My expectations were 0 going into this game. That's what I do for every game. Even if I'm anticipating the game, I go in with 0 expectations. So I'm probably easily more impressed than many people. It is what it is. But these are my thoughts about Starfield so far. I like the game. I'm happy that I made the $30 premium upgrade thing on Game Pass. No shame in doing that on my part. It's a convenience I wanted. This is a holiday, so I thought I'd use that, opportunity to play the game and still be able to hang out with my family and do other things. So it's been a rewarding journey so far. I'm not going to talk about anything with the gameplay and the missions and all that. That is for you to go determine for yourself if you want to play the game. But this is probably the last thing I'll do in terms of impressions surrounding the game, maybe other pertaining areas, like game engine stuff and mechanics and systems. I'll be happy to talk about. But so far, so good. I'm satisfied with my purchase, if that's what you want to hear. But doesn't mean anything to you. Like I said, you'd have to play the game to know if you're satisfied or dissatisfied. So good luck out there. I hope you like it, and I hope you don't feel disappointed if you spend your money on it. So thanks for watching. Peace out.